No one in the mansion had ever seen anything like it. The baby, little Micah, barely 1 year old, was known for one thing: he never let anyone touch him. Not his aunts, not the neighbors, not even other kids. If someone tried, he clung to his mother, cried until he couldn't breathe, or pushed their hands away with surprising strength for a child so small. The staff often whispered among themselves, "Poor child, he trusts no one. Maybe he's just shy. Maybe he's scared of strangers." But the truth was, Micah wasn't shy. He was terrified of everyone except his mother, Rosa. Rosa, the cleaning lady, worked quietly in the mansion. She finished her chores, kept her head down, and never caused trouble. She always carried Micah on her hip because the moment she placed him down, he panicked if someone came near. Life was predictable until that day. It began like any other morning. Rosa was dusting the hallway shelves while Micah sat on the floor beside her, playing with a wooden block and humming softly. The mansion was quiet, still, elegant, the way the owner, Ethan Miles, liked it. Ethan Miles, billionaire, businessman, feared by his employees. A man known for his cold voice, strict rules, and face that rarely showed emotion. Most workers avoided even crossing paths with him. But as Rosa dusted the last shelf, the doors to Ethan's office opened with a soft click. He stepped out wearing his usual charcoal suit, his hair neatly styled, his expression unreadable. He walked with the confidence of a man who controlled everything in his world. Except what happened next. Micah's head shot up. His eyes widened. Then, before anyone could react, the baby raised his tiny arms and reached toward Ethan. "Micah!" Rosa whispered, stunned. "What are you—" But Micah didn't stop. He crawled forward, faster than Rosa had ever seen, and grabbed the edge of Ethan's coat with his little fists. The billionaire froze. He looked down slowly as if unsure whether this was real. The staff standing nearby gasped. 2 maids dropped their feather dusters. The cook peeked from the kitchen door with his mouth hanging open. Micah, the baby who trusted no one, was clinging to Ethan's coat like he had found something precious. Ethan blinked, confused. He wasn't used to children. He wasn't used to anyone touching him without permission. He wasn't used to warmth at all. Rosa?" he said stiffly, almost awkwardly. "He seems to want something." But when Rosa tried to gently lift Micah away, the baby buried his face into Ethan's leg and let out a sound none of them expected, a soft, contented giggle. A giggle. From Micah. Rosa's heart pounded. "Sir, I don't know why he's doing this. He never does this." Everyone stared, waiting for Ethan to get angry, annoyed, or demand the child be removed. But instead, he kneeled, slowly, cautiously, and when he met Micah's eyes, something strange passed between them. Not fear, not confusion, something deeper. As if the baby recognized him, as if he had been waiting for him. And that moment was the beginning of a truth none of them were prepared for. Ethan Miles wasn't a cruel man. He was just empty woe. People often misunderstood him, mistaking his silence for arrogance, his distance for pride. But those who worked close to him knew he lived more like a ghost inside his own mansion, present, but never truly there. His childhood had carved that emptiness into him. A massive house filled with expensive furniture, marble floors and golden chandeliers. But no warmth, no laughter, no bedtime stories, no gentle hands fixing his collar before school. His parents were always busy, too busy. They gave him money instead of affection, gifts instead of hugs, trips instead of time. And so Ethan learned early, love wasn't something he could rely on. He grew up quiet, serious, and self-sufficient. He went to the best schools, started businesses, conquered industries, and built a billion-dollar empire. But he never built a family, not because he didn't want one, but because he didn't know how. He didn't know how to hold a baby. He didn't know how to comfort someone crying. He didn't know how to smile without looking like he was forcing it. He lived in a world made of polished floors and empty rooms. Until Micah, the baby who trusted no one, had crawled straight into Ethan's life and wrapped himself around his heart without permission. The moment the child grabbed Ethan's coat, something had shifted. But when Micah reached up again, his little hand trembling with excitement, and wrapped his fingers around Ethan's larger one, something inside the billionaire cracked. It wasn't painful. It was freeing. A warmth he didn't recognize spread through his chest, tight and overwhelming. His throat tightened. His heartbeat changed rhythm, lighter, faster, almost unfamiliar. For the first time in years, he felt alive. Alive in a way money had never made him feel. Alive in a way success had never touched. He stared at Micah's tiny hand, gripping his finger so trustingly, as if Ethan was the safest person in the world. No one had ever looked at him like that. Not employees who feared him, not business partners who respected him, not society who admired him from afar, but a baby, one who didn't speak, didn't judge, didn't pretend, saw something in him no one else had. Rosa saw it too. Standing a few steps away, clutching her cleaning cloth, she watched Ethan with wide, trembling eyes. She had worked for him for months, always seeing him as a cold, distant man made of stone and shadows. But now she saw the truth behind the billionaire. She saw the boy he once was, lonely, forgotten, raised by silence instead of love. She saw the man he had become, disciplined, powerful, but hollow inside. And she saw something else, something she never expected. A man who didn't know how to love, but desperately needed to be loved. A man who didn't know how to hold a child, but let one hold on to him anyway, as Micah giggled and pressed his face into Ethan's chest. Rosa realized the moment was more than unusual. It was the beginning of something neither of them understood yet, something fragile, unexpected, and life-changing. And deep down, Ethan felt it too. At the mansion, whispers started almost immediately. Servants exchanged glances in the halls. Cooks paused mid-slice. Maids leaned toward each other with curiosity burning in their eyes. Why does the baby like him? It doesn't make sense. Micah hates everyone. Is he paying her for this? Maybe she's planning something, trying to get close to the boss. The rumors grew like vines, twisting, poisonous, crawling into every corner of the mansion. Rosa heard every word. She heard the doubt, the jealousy, the ugly assumptions, but she ignored them. She had learned to live with judgment. She had learned to survive gossip. And she had learned that Micah's happiness mattered far more than anyone's opinion. If Micah felt safe with Ethan, she wouldn't take that away, not for anyone. Still, jealousy simmered. The staff didn't like seeing the richest, most powerful man in the house, one they barely dared speak to, soften toward a cleaning lady's baby. It shook the balance. It confused them. It made them uneasy. And that uneasiness turned into envy. One quiet afternoon it happened. Rosa was dusting shelves inside Ethan's office, humming softly while Micah played on the soft rug. Ethan, who had returned early from a meeting, paused near the child, awkwardly at first, as if unsure whether he was allowed to interact. But Micah decided for him. He reached up, arms wide. Ethan blinked. "Is he asking me to pick him up?" Rosa nodded shyly. "Looks like it." Ethan swallowed hard, then slowly lifted Micah into his arms, stiff, uncertain, like he was holding a priceless glass statue that might break. And then Micah giggled, not a small laugh, not a nervous sound, a full, bright, bubbling giggle that filled the entire office like sunlight breaking through clouds. Ethan froze, his expression cracked open, emotion slipping through the cracks. Did he just laugh? "Yes," Rosa whispered, her throat tightening. He's never laughed like that before. For a moment the world felt soft, gentle, almost magical. But the moment didn't last. A maid outside the office dropped a tray in shock. Another whispered, "See? Something strange is going on." And the tension in the mansion tightened again. Then disaster struck. Rosa turned to grab a cloth. Ethan set Micah down to crawl on the carpet. But babies move fast, faster than adults realize, and Micah spotted something interesting near the hallway. He crawled straight toward the staircase. "Micah!" Rosa screamed, her heart dropping. Time slowed, but Ethan didn't think. He moved on. He sprinted, faster. than anyone in the mansion had ever seen him move, his polished shoes slipping slightly on the marble floor as he lunged forward. He reached the stairs just in time, scooping Micah into his arms before the child tipped over the edge. Everyone gasped. Rosa clapped a hand over her mouth, knees almost giving out. But Micah? Micah wasn't crying. He wasn't even scared. He was smiling. Smiling right at Ethan. And Ethan held him close, breathing hard, shaken to his core. In that moment, Rosa understood the truth she had been trying to ignore. This wasn't random. This wasn't luck. This wasn't coincidence. This was something else entirely. A connection, a bond, a truth waiting, patiently, powerfully to be uncovered. A week later, everything changed. Micah, usually quiet, cautious and glued to Rosa, suddenly grew restless. His forehead burned with fever. His breathing turned weak and uneven. His tiny hands, usually so quick to cling, now trembled helplessly in Rosa's arms. By midnight he wouldn't stop crying. Rosa's panic rose like a tidal wave. She wrapped him in a blanket, grabbed her bag with shaking hands and rushed toward the door. She didn't expect anyone to be awake at that hour, not in a mansion so cold and silent at night. But Ethan was. He stepped out of his study the moment he heard Micah's cries. His face, usually unreadable, shifted instantly with worry. "What happened?" he asked, moving toward them. "He's sick, really sick," Rosa cried. I have to take him to the hospital." "Then let's go," Ethan said without hesitation. No questions, no hesitation, no concern for meetings, business or reputation. Only Micah. They drove through the quiet city streets, Rosa holding Micah close while Ethan kept glancing back, his grip tight on the steering wheel. For the first time, Rosa saw fear in the billionaire's eyes. True fear. At the hospital, time blurred. Nurses rushed Micah away. Doctors worked. Machines beeped. Rosa prayed. And Ethan, he stayed. Hours passed. Ethan paced the waiting room like a storm trapped inside a man. Every sound from the hallway made him look up, hope and anxiety twisting through him. Finally, the doctor returned. Rosa stood, heart pounding. "What's wrong with my baby?" she whispered. The doctor exhaled slowly. "Micah has a rare neurological condition. It affects how his body responds to human contact. For him, most touch feels like a threat. So his body reacts, panic, stress, physical strain." Rosa covered her mouth, tears streaming. Ethan swallowed hard. "But he lets me hold him." The doctor nodded. "That's the unusual part. Around most people, Micah's stress levels spike. But around you, they drop. His heart rate stabilizes. His breathing improves. It's as if your presence signals safety." Rosa closed her eyes. She had carried the truth alone for so long. Now she couldn't hide it anymore. "Sir," her voice trembled, "there's something I never told you. I was scared you'd fire me if you knew." Ethan turned to her, confused. "Told me what?" She held Micah tightly, her tears falling onto his blanket. "Micah's father left before he was born. I had no money, no support. Then one day, the hospital told me someone paid all my bills. Delivery, tests, medications." Ethan froze. "I asked who donated. They said an anonymous billionaire who funds medical aid for single mothers." His chest tightened painfully. Rosa looked up at him, eyes shining with gratitude and heartbreak. "I checked the name on the form," she whispered. "It was you." The world tilted. Years ago, Ethan had created that charity after losing his sister during childbirth. He funded dozens of mothers, never knowing their names, never expecting anything in return. He never imagined one of those mothers would end up working for him. He never imagined her child would choose him. Rosa brushed a hand over Micah's cheek and whispered, her voice trembling, "Maybe Micah feels safe with you because you saved him before he was even born." Ethan's breath shattered. For the first time in decades, tears welled in the billionaire's eyes, quiet, unstoppable, and painfully real. And as Micah stirred weakly in his arms, Ethan realized he hadn't just saved a baby that day. The baby had saved him too. After that unforgettable night in the hospital, everything changed, slowly at first. Then all at once, Ethan Miles, the billionaire known for his strict routine and frozen heart, began rearranging his days without even realizing it. Meetings were rescheduled. Calls were shortened. Business trips were postponed. And every free minute he had belonged to Micah. He started small, reading short picture books with awkward pauses, his deep voice stumbling over animal sounds that made Rosa bite back a smile. Then he fed Micah, carefully holding the spoon like it was delicate crystal. The first time Micah smeared mashed banana on Ethan's suit, the staff held their breath, waiting for his anger. Instead, Ethan laughed. A real laugh, soft, stunned, almost disbelieving, and Micah giggled back. The mansion, once filled with cold marble silence, slowly transformed. Where there used to be echoing hallways, now there were the sounds of tiny footsteps, toys rolling, soft lullabies, unexpected laughter. The staff watched in amazement. The feared billionaire now crawled on the floor, chasing a 1-year-old. He let Micah tug his tie, touch his face, pull his hair. He held the child with a gentleness no one thought he possessed. And Rosa. She saw something she never believed existed inside him. A man who could love deeply, quietly, fiercely. A man who could protect like he'd been waiting his whole life for someone to protect. A man who didn't need to share blood to have a father's heart. One evening, as the orange glow of sunset poured through the mansion windows, Ethan sat in a large armchair with Micah asleep on his chest. The child's tiny fingers were curled around his shirt, his breathing soft and steady. Rosa stood in the doorway watching them. It was a sight she could never have imagined months ago. The billionaire and her baby, relaxed, safe, complete. She approached quietly. "You don't have to do this," she whispered. "You've already done more than enough for us." Ethan looked down at Micah, brushing a gentle finger across the baby's cheek. "I don't know why he chose me," he murmured. He swallowed, emotion tightening his voice. But I'm grateful he did." Something inside Rosa melted. She had lived her whole life believing she had to carry every burden alone. But here was a man, powerful, distant, once untouchable, who had stepped into her world without asking for anything in return. She wiped her tears with trembling fingers. "Maybe," she said softly, "because he saw who you truly are." Long before anyone else did. Ethan didn't respond right away. His gaze remained on Micah, full of something Rosa had never seen in him. Tenderness, purpose, belonging. From that day on, Ethan didn't just help them. He didn't just show kindness. He didn't just offer support. He became part of them. A new family, unexpected, imperfect, but real. A family built not by blood, but by choice. Not by obligation, but by destiny. And little Micah, he never stopped choosing the millionaire. Because sometimes a baby's heart knows the truth long before adults understand it. The truth that love, real love, chooses its own people.